Welcome to Small Business, Big Network, the podcast for small business owners who want big results from their networking. I'm Liz Drury, a freelance voiceover artist who knows that if you're not working, then networking could help. Ladey Adey is the author of the book Successful Business Networking Online. She's recently updated the book and the new version goes live this week, so I thought it'd be great to interview her again about the changes that have happened since the book originally came out. Welcome to the podcast, Ladey. It's lovely to have you back. You were actually my first guest when I started the podcast last year, so I'm excited to hear about developments since then. So we're going to talk about your book, Successful Business Networking Online. Just remind us how it came about in the first place back in 2020.
Well, I'm just amazed that I was your first and now your first repeat. So thank you so much. It's such a delight to be interviewed by you. You are an absolute natural.
Oh, thank you.
So Successful Business Networking Online began because of the situation we're all in with the pandemic, with lockdown. And all of a sudden business were going, April 2020, businesses were looking around going, what do we do? What do we do? We're just going to fall off a cliff. We're going to have no business. And the blood, the thing that is the real blood feed for business is networking.
Yeah.
It's how they get new clients. It's how they get referrals. It's how they build up a network of peers. There's so much richness in networking. And I thought, okay, what's going to happen here? In-person networking stopped. Zoom became all powerful. And I thought, well, these new networking through Zoom, how are they going to work? And the first ones were very, very scrappy. So I thought, are we just trying to take what we do in person and put it online? And does it work? And that made me start researching. And because lockdown, I thought my business was going to fall off a cliff. The opposite happened. And I thought, well, if I'm going to have downtime, I will write a book. And that's how Successful Business Networking Online began. As I did more research, I thought the principles of networking are still solid and still there, but the way we deliver it and the protocols and the subtle different ways different organisers actually use online network are vastly different.
Yes.
So, and then of course with Zoom, there's do's and don'ts. So I wanted to record those. I wanted to help people to know how much lighting was really important, how much their background was important, and how the subtleties of getting yourself recognised, remembered, and make yourself marketable so people want to engage with you, do that like, trust side of things. So I also chased down people. When I saw them make a comment on LinkedIn about the new normal, as it was called then, now it's just normal, and then somebody would write about fatigue. So I would contact them and go, you've just written about fatigue. I think it's a real thing as well. Would you like to write a small piece in the book? So that's what happened with Hannah Charman and Hannah Long, two Hannahs, very different Hannahs. And they then used their expertise that they were saying to say how you overcome the digital overload. And that's how it built. And then before I knew it, I got 100 people making comments, or that I'd put them in the book. So the book's a networking book as well as being full of tips and real solid information on how to have a successful business by networking online.
And at what point did you realise that the book needed to be updated?
Less than a year. Things moved so quickly. I mean, the tipping point for online work, the way we now know it, where so much, working from home, using online interaction for peers, colleagues, management, even the good old assessment is often done online now. Even those HR stuff, it became very clear that we'd embraced it. and things were very different. And also my own experience was my business, which it quadrupled. I quadrupled my sales, I quadrupled my reach. Now I'm not worried about meeting people around the corner to see if there's a book in them. I'm talking about people who are 100 miles, 1,000 miles away and working with them. And this was being replicated by other people in other people's business. So I thought, right, and also because it was so new when I wrote the very first book about online networking, people were going, oh, I don't know if it will last, and I can't wait for in-person networking to come back. And, you know, it's just a little blip. 2 years on, 18 months on, we knew that wasn't the case. We knew that actually some people have never been to in-person networking and never will. They'll do everything on Zoom. It would take a crowbar to get me out of my office because I'm so invested now in doing the Zoom meetings and loving it. So all of that came into being, and I thought, I've got to revise this because the people who said, oh, I hate it and I don't like it and it's not working and I can't wait, wasn't relevant because so many more people were saying, I like this, it works for me, particularly as I've got disabilities. It works for me because I'm housebound in some way, and it works for me because I'm an introvert and I'm more comfortable and feel safer online, where I've got control of my volume, I've got control of my photograph, I've got control of my live feed, and I can choose whether I stay or not.
Yes.
Without anyone get offended.
Yeah.
So there's so many other things coming in. And I'd also worked with Kaplan International Pathways for their book, and they've got a bespoke book for their students. So 4,700 students have now had a version of the online networking be successful. And so what they brought to the table, my work with them had also developed my understanding. So I wanted to put things in like live feeds because that is very new. And I wanted to talk about joint ventures and working with colleges and universities. So all of a sudden there was a lot more information. I thought, it's a revision. So at least 25%, if not 30% of the book has been revised.
Wow.
And that includes new people coming in, including yourself.
Including me, yes.
Yeah. And it was delight because I know your heart for networking. I know how much you've helped people and your audio people too. There's a technical term for that. I'm sure you could correct me. And I just thought, do you know what? Liz can contribute to this next journey that we're on business networking online. So you are in the book, and a nice, lovely piece. I'm just going to go and find the your. You can ask me another question. I'm going to find your article so I can read something out.
Oh, right. Well, how did you decide what you were going to keep and what you were going to get rid of?
Well, it was very easy. Things that suddenly became dated went. And things which were negative, that I hadn't realised were negative at the time, that was either severely edited or went. And then it was a question of, okay, because when you revise a book but keep it within the same ISBN number, you have to keep the exact same page numbers.
Oh, right.
You have to have, otherwise you have to do it as a new book, and I didn't want to do that because I've had so many great reviews on it. And if you put it out as a new book, then you lose all your old reviews.
Yeah.
So you have to keep, so I was very much conscious of, if that goes in, does it keep my page count or do I have to change it? As it happened, I'd got more room at the end for some notes. So it just worked. It just worked very well.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the highlights from the piece that you put in, which is Networking is Omnipresent, is the title, is that it's good to be known locally for what you do.
Yes.
So you've got two kind of networking going on there. You've got the ones that build, you have to network where your customer base is.
Yeah.
Otherwise it's a bit, unless it's the social side you like or some other part. But time is money. Networking costs, because your time is given up to that instead of doing other things. But it's still part of that marketing strategy. And when you're saying it's good to be known locally, it means it's great when you can do business with local suppliers.
Yeah.
So I will go to a local printer. I say local, it is the next county, but that's still local to me.
Yeah.
And it's great to do that both, physically when you can, networking online, and online when you can't.
Yeah.
So, and you talk about meetings which break the ice by using games such as Digital Pictionary,
Yes,
and a variation of Wink Murder, which sounded so intriguing. I thought that's got to go in. That's definitely got to go in.
It was hilarious, to be fair. So how did you decide on who the new contributors were going to be?
Since going very much online, and I would attend 10 to 15 online networks per week.
Wow.
Not always the same ones. And also I developed where I would be like the Michelin star. So I would put together a little review on a network. So I'd be invited to a lot more. And so as I meet people, and when they say things, I either think there's a book in them, or I think actually there's an article that what they're saying isn't something that I couldn't say. It's not experience I've had, but they have.
Yeah.
And therefore I know that would just expand the reader's experience. And the reader for this book is very much people who network, whether they're experienced, whether inexperienced. Whether they like it, whether they hate it, but to give them the skills to build on. I've developed a lot more on the 1 minute, because I've done a course on the 1 minute speech. And within that, I've worked out, along with other networkers like David O'Brien, how many themes there are out there. And most people stick to 1 or 2 themes, like giving information. But I've found, and it's in the book, there's at least 25. I've named 25, but I know there's more. Different ways you can theme your 1 minute, which makes it interesting.
Yes.
It makes you really think through it.
Yeah.
And it takes all the scariness away, I think, because you can enjoy it.
Yeah, yeah. And it is good to do something different every week, because otherwise people start to turn off, don't they? They think, oh, well, I've heard that before.
That's right. And some people say those actual words, oh, you know me, oh, you know what I do, as if it's a get out clause for not doing the 1 minute. And actually people don't know what you do. They don't know the detail. They need to be reminded where the connectivity is. For it to move on. I mean, we've been to many, many network meetings together. And even, I still think, I can still learn so much more from Liz. Suddenly finding that you're a judge for one of the award ceremonies, that is a complete, different side to your business.
Yeah, yeah.
And one that I can think, oh, that's really, really interesting. But if it's just, oh, you know what I do, then you don't get into those very conversations which open your mind a bit more about somebody's business, the way they do it.
Yeah.
Which obviously builds up the know, like and trust.
Yes.
To coin the BNI phrase.
Yeah. So what have you learned by updating and having new people contribute pieces for your book?
Enthusiasm, again, for the book. This is my 10th book I've written, and I've got 2 more on the go, and I have published for other authors. I've got 18 on my books currently, and about 13, 14 that I've already published for. So it's very easy to think something's old hat, or get sort of not bored exactly, but just a little bit, familiar with your own work. And this, I read it now and I think, oh, that's good. Yes, I remember that bit. So it's re-inspired me, particularly for networking. And also, I work very much with authors on a mentoring side, and I don't think you can mentor something unless you've truly been through it.
Yes.
And the ebook, people think that's the easiest thing in the world. You just make the changes, and it's done very instantly. But I've been working with an American mentor who said, actually, you take ebooks in a very different way. You use them as your marketing strategy, and you wait for a while before you actually put it out there. You don't put that out first. You actually put it out after your paperback and your hardback, which is a very reverse to what most people do.
Yeah.
So we're launching on the 19th of this month the ebook, which is kept at £2.21, which is an amazing price for the next month. After that, it will go up. And of course, you get all colour stuff then with the ebooks, which is lovely, because the paperback's black and white.
Yeah.
And but the hard copy I've done is colour now as well. So it just means there's more chance for more people to have a copy and to pick up what they need from the book and apply it to the way that they network.
Yeah. So what was the reach of the first book? You said you had some good reviews about it.
Yeah, the reviews, everything. If you get a copy, or any of your listeners get a copy, please go and do a review. I know you did, Liz, and I appreciate that very much. The reach, as in sales of the book, is it's just about under 500 for the first one, but with the partnership and the joint venture I had with Kaplan, that reached 4,700 students.
That's brilliant.
So it was still the same book, just put together in a slightly different way.
Yeah.
So it was a bespoke version. And that's what, if anyone can help me have a lead in with the university so that they can have a bespoke book for their students, particularly business students who need to network as part of the course, that would be absolutely fantastic.
Great. So are you still enjoying online networking, having done so many meetings over the last year and then been writing about it as well?
I do. I have to work out what works best for me. So I know I'm better in the morning.
Yeah.
So I'm more creative in the morning. And it's whether I want to use that time for networking or later. I've been very, very fortunate because of the work I do and because writing a book became very much part of people's bucket lists during lockdown and since, we've all had review our lifestyles and review what we actually want out of life. And having a book is one of the things people generally want.
Yeah.
And because I really help them to do that and they still retain their copyright, their royalty and control, then when any network I do, I always have at least one person interested. If I go to a new network, I invariably have about 3 people interested. And then, like everything with networking, you have to follow it through.
Yeah.
So there comes a point when you think, I don't want to stimulate the network too much because I know how much I can actually take on. I don't become overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And I want to give everybody a really good experience, whether they just talk to me about their book or whether they actually come on board and become one of our authors.
Yeah. So do you think there will be a need to update the book again in future, or do you think this is it now?
Well, it's it for a couple of years now, because it was almost like writing the whole thing all over again. And it took so long. It was untrue. And I want to really focus down on making bespoke books, make this particular book into a bespoke book for someone.
Yeah.
So, for people who, run organisations or perhaps, you are coming on board as having your own personalised page in the book. So perhaps you could say what's motivated you to do that.
So within my own community, in the voiceover community, I'm quite well known for networking, and I've often been asked to talk on the subject at conferences or on webinars and so on. And so I created an online course to help people in my industry and other creative industries learn how to network effectively. And your book just fits perfectly with what I'm doing. And so I started to offer your book as an add-on to my course. And you very kindly have allowed me to have a personalised page, as you mentioned, so that when I send one of your books out, it's actually from me with a special message from me to my students. So, which is a brilliant idea.
It's been great to have that partnership with you too. And so that's what to me, for the next 4 or 5 years, I want to really move this book into that bespoke space. I want to let people use it to benefit their business in a more direct, strategic way, and also for universities to get it out to their students.
Yeah.
So that's will be the concentration. So I don't expect to revise it, as you originally asked, for at least another 5 years.
Yeah. So finally then, Ladey, if people want to get a copy of the book, how do they do that?
Amazon is the best way, particularly during this launch, because that's when you can get the reduced price for the electronic version. So I would say go to Amazon, put in my name, that and my other books will come up. Go to Amazon and put in Successful Business Networking Online, and this particular book will come up in its different versions.
Yeah.
The audio is to be done, by the way, but we go bit by bit.
Yeah.
And that is the best way to. And obviously, if you want to contact me directly, I'm on ladeyadey.com is the website, and lady@ladeyadey.com is the email. I'm happy to have a talk and see how I can best help people.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, and the best of luck with the launch of the new version, and I hope it goes really well for you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Small Business, Big Network. If you found this podcast useful, please do rate, review and subscribe. And don't forget to share it with the rest of your network too.